All right, we are live any moment now, but I should let everyone know that I gotta pin this message. Oh yeah, bitch, pin it. But yeah, crazy stuff. At some point, I will put things on this monitor back there, but I've been delaying so much. I've been just like, I don't know, plug it in because I only have one HDMI cable. And then I don't want to get another one, and I don't have enough places to plug it into my laptop. So I need like a splitter or something. I'm just like, I haven't gotten around to it. That's all. But when I do have it, here's a cool thing, right? So I'm going to this year, as I've threatened to many times on this podcast. Don't threaten me with a good time, but I've threatened to get into NFTs, and I did buy my first NFT. Shout out, so I'll re-mention that on the live cast. On the stuff that people are listening to. But bought my first NFT from Ken Bozak. It was the Hulk Hogan, but like Ken Bozak edition one. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I saw it. Hulk bro.
Yeah. Hey, First Light. Thomas, thanks for watching. Just looking through you watching on Odysee. That's nice. So I got to start, as I mentioned to you, I'm going to start minting NFTs for if anyone gets on the anyone's a guest on the podcast at any time, they get an NFT. And, it's just kind of like the in club of like, here's your commemorative little, you were on the Digital Cash Rundown little thing. And then I'll make a private Telegram group and stuff to get people into that, like supporters and stuff. But, that one is just a giveaway. And then if you've been on 10 or more shows, then you get a special one that is just you. It's not just like the generic, And so far, for those in attendance, but I'll mention that at the very end of the show again, because when more people are watching and stuff. But yeah, this is your 10th show. So I'll make a big deal of I'll just rock the world here. I'll make a big deal out of it at the very end. And hopefully get up some hype. And then if you want to resell your commemorative nonsense,
never
you can, I guess. But like, it depends if
never. Guys, that price goes up every time I say never. The price goes up.
And this is the last time I'm going to break the first and last time I'm going to break the fourth wall on this, but publicly. But I am going to make another NFT at some point and charge something like $100,000 for it, and as like a meme inside joke NFT, and I'll be promoting it all over the place. And no one's going to be like, everyone's going to be like, why is there this one for this absurd amount of money that just doesn't make any sense? And I'm just going to see if someone's curious enough to buy it, and then I can just buy a house with it. So that's kind of my strategy on that one. But a lot of cool stuff coming up. Let's see. YouTube stopped updating the live chat. I have to go in and out of the video to see who's watching. But at least we have one person there. We have 3, including First Light and one time watching on Odysee. So that's, let's give it like literally one more minute. But
yeah, doesn't bother me.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to, let's see how many of these things we can crack how many of these stories we can do justice and get through, because it would be nice if we have some time at the end to talk about what are they, dash tag and /smart dash, but also just usernames in general, and DeFi protocols /smart contract platforms built on top of other things. So,
yeah, absolutely.
One time says, never saw a new. Oh, never mind. He did see a YouTube notification of this. Must have just happened later. But at least you saw it on the good, uncensored platform, which hopefully Odysee starts letting you run ads and stuff on there, because otherwise you're going to have to start promoting YouTube videos and doing ads on there. But anyway.
But can you buy a library coin? There's a way to promote your video with library coin.
It's just it's just too difficult to get in. But it's So, and this is the last thing I'll say before we actually get this thing started. Uh, there's two kinds. There's like active and passive results from monetization, right? The
Sure.
active is you sell something, like, oh, you click on a referral link. Oh, if people sign up with Bitrefill with DCN, then I get some money. Or like they do this and that. Or they like, oh, I really like what you did. I'm going to hit the tip button, or I'm going to go out of my way, hit a coin tree and throw something. That's, few and far between, but it happens a lot more for like just quality, like when people just really like what you do. Now, on the other hand, we could just get a lot of eyeballs. And just the eyeballs, I would like to be able to monetize that part, which is where a lot of like YouTubers and stuff like that do, which I'm not currently doing. And Library did have a generous subsidy on this, but the subsidy became extremely stingy these days. So it just from people just from views, I get like nothing, literally nothing, pretty much. So at some point, it'd be nice to have a little like, oh, you can watch it for like a credit without an ad, and otherwise you skip the ad, or just some things like that to monetize that bit of it, because this hustling, anyway. Ooh, yeah, I got that message. All right, ready to go, guys. Enough random chit chat. Let us get to it. So there we go. Happy Friday to everyone. It's a great week. It's going to be a huge blizzard here where I'm at tomorrow. So it's going to be, it's like, what is it? Like 18 to 24 inches or something like that. I don't know if that's huge, but it's reasonable.
It's 50 degrees here today.
Oh, nice. Well,
Yeah.
not here. Frozen River, all the other stuff. One time says, nice haircut, expensive, I hear. Yeah, that's because of the post I made about at the beginning of 2020. This cost $16, get my haircut at Supercuts, and then it's 22 now because, inflation.
That's the inflation.
Yeah.
I got a haircut too, but it's smashed down with my beanie, so it doesn't look great at the moment.
Yeah. I need to just not cut it or buzz it, but I like this way anyway. But so anyway, to business before we get into the news stories. Obviously, like, comment, share, subscribe. Odysee had a weird bug that unfollowed me from everyone. Like, literally just unfollowed everything accidentally. And so I had to go manually refollow everyone. So if you had one of those bugs, just make sure you're actually subscribed. And if you want to get the notifications, make sure to hit the little bell on the channel so you get notifications on YouTube. And obviously, you can throw in a super chat, which I will answer. The other live chat, I'm going to be wishy-washy on, so you pay for the exclusivity. Of course, there's people like, I'm not trying to disincentivize donations here, but there's people like one time who are consistent supporters that if they say stuff on the normal channel, just answer that, So in the future, I'm going to do like supporter NFTs or something that I'll share, that if you buy one of those, then you just get into like the super chat for good. You don't have to worry about, where's my phone? Do I have to, blah, 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 blah. You don't have to do all that kind of stuff. It streamlines it, but then other people could still do stuff. But I'm still figuring that out and a whole bunch of other stuff. That'll come up. Anyway, enough crap. Spencer, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm just typing in the live chat myself right now. Just letting everybody know that I am in the live chat. I'll be selective with who I respond to, but I am reading.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah, for sure. How we're all doing might have something. The crypto world, it's just not. It's never a dull day, I would say, unless you're just into crazy market action. And the markets, they've been all right. They did take a big dump not too long ago, but like not even that big. Just compared to other things. But
it's funny because we've been around long enough to look at this dump and go, not even that big. But a lot of people that recently got in because of the hype over NFTs or whatever it may have been that they got in for, but the people that got in recently look at this and go, holy my future's done for.
Yeah. And
more crypto is dead articles.
My kind of barometer, as it were, is that I have a net worth. It's not a lot, but I still have one. In other dumps, it's just like, oh yeah, I'm like, I worked hard, I earned a bunch of money, and I have something to show for it. And then like a month later, I'm just like, I am literally like penniless right now. This time I'm
Yeah.
just like, you can buy fewer things, but that's about it. I'm still fine.
Same thing.
I'm
I have
not
a trip
scared.
coming up. I have a trip coming up, and I was going to cash a little bit of crypto out, and then everything
Hmm.
went down, and I'm like, oh, I better wait to buy these plane tickets.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Real quick before the headline, which one are you going to use? Travala, Cheap Air, just so we can get a shout out to whichever good company you.
Oh,
You know.
Travala for sure. Yeah,
Ooh,
absolutely.
cool. Do you stake any of their token to get like rewards and stuff?
I don't. I've looked into it, but it just seems a little like I'm just too busy to
Yeah.
stake everything that I possibly can. There are so many things that I could, stake or get rewards on, or do liquidity providing, or all kinds of stuff that I could do, but I just don't have the time to do all of that stuff. So I have such a hands off strategy now. I just hodl and then
Yeah, I'm kind of personally on the moving to the other side of that, where now every everything I don't need in short order is being staked. Now I'm trying to like in various things try to maximize it because it is not just like a scammy like oh, I just want to pump it all the money out. It's like a mindset change of the rich have
yeah,
always
making your money
invested.
work for you.
Yes. They
Yeah,
never
absolutely.
really had money just sitting there. It's always been working for you because it has utility. Capital has utility. Just having it available has utility. And so just not putting it to work, like, why would you, unless you have like a really good reason? I didn't. So there you go. So, hey, Nitty. Welcome to the live chat. All right. First story, which I teased publicly, right? White House reportedly preparing executive order on crypto. Basically, the
Yeah.
Joe Biden, bless his soul, rest in peace. Again, I'm assuming, right? Is expected to issue an executive order in the coming weeks about actions the United States government will take regarding digital assets.
Hmm.
So, basically, here's a few. There's two sides to this. Let me just get all the facty stuff before we start talking smack on it. The two sides of it. First is the supposed planned executive order, which would be a national security memo.
Hmm.
They're making it as a matter of national security. They're basically uh, assigning some government entities to study crypto and come up with some sort of a regulatory framework. So it's not like they're going to ban it. It's they're as a matter of national security, which is ridiculous, but we'll get into that. But
Yeah.
basically, they're saying we got to go. All these regulatory agencies have to look into it finally and figure out how they're going to handle it. And that could be very bad. I mean, it could be
Could be just
literally
fine.
a nothing burger. But then the other part of it, of course, is the Competes Act, the America Competes Act, which includes some fishy stuff about crypto. Which, after reading through it, it basically says that the Treasury Department can instruct financial institutions to just block certain financial transactions with no due process, no nothing, for a period of I think 120 days, and then they have to review the action. That's basically saying the Treasury Department can block any financial transaction from just for no reason. You can just say, you know what, Spencer, you're getting paid. I'm going to, I we don't like you. You're a political enemy. We're going to block you from receiving any money. And then after
Yeah, that would hurt.
120, just for no reason. And then for after 120 days, they're going to be like, yeah, you know what? We thought he looked like this one guy who also had like the lumberjack outfit on, but he actually killed people with a big old axe, and we just thought he was getting terrorist financing. Sorry, our mistake. Unblocked. Like
Yeah. It's a
so
savings account.
that's in the CARES Act, which has, as far as I know, as of yet not passed. But this exact same language was in a previous amendment to a different bill that then got struck out, and then they just put it back in. So people are trying to get this in there. So the second thing is super scary, but not necessarily going to happen, although there is a likelihood that some variant will be passed. And then as far as the first thing, that is happening, but we don't know what it will entail. It could just entail like, well, we understand we need to like verify addresses and stuff from certain things whenever withdrawing from exchanges, and we added another 100 IRS agents to like monitor crypto stuff. It could be
Right.
something very small like that, or it could be something really big. So, your hot takes, real quick, and then I'll ramble on this.
Yeah, my hot takes are I think that as we talked a little bit about before the show, I think that it's always been a matter of when, not if. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Governments do what governments do best, which is I don't want to say do best, but governments do what governments do, which is regulate and tax things.
Mm-hmm.
And so when um, when cryptocurrency had gotten to the point where it's made a ton of noise. It's no longer this fringe culture thing. There's a lot of money involved, and there's a lot of normal people making transactions. It's now that they've decided it's time to get a cut of it, and they don't
Mm-hmm.
know how. And so
Yeah.
I think it all boils down to taxes, more or less. Um,
As
I
life
don't
tends to.
Yeah, as life tends to. Two things in
Mm-hmm.
life are certain, right? Death and taxes. Um, but I think that, I think that's what it boils down to. There are a lot of, theories around this, usually
Mm-hmm.
involving some type of surveillance or that type of stuff. And granted, there is a little bit of that, but, blockchains are inherently open anyway. So that's something that you do have to deal with as part of that. But yeah, really, I think it boils down to taxes. I don't know if it's necessarily nefarious in nature. Does that mean it can do more harm than good? Yeah, I think so. It can,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what comes out of it. But overall, I think, like I said, it wasn't a matter of if, but a matter of when. And so, as long as I think now crypto as an industry is at the point where it is an unstoppable force,
Mm-hmm.
in many ways. And I do think that we have some advocates in higher level positions that hopefully help see to it that those regulations come out proper.
Yeah. And I it's fun. I'm gonna take like a two different on like this specific thing. I'm gonna take I guess a less alarmist tone. Not less than you, probably about the same. But like I don't think that any of this is gloom and doom. I don't think any of this is crazy. I don't even think it's necessarily malicious as far as again this
Agreed.
thing. It's mostly just wow, crypto is so big. Everyone is doing NFTs. Everyone is doing Bitcoin funded that. It just this is I mean, I believe it is definitely the future of finance and decentral and online infrastructure in general. That's a little bit further
Yeah,
out
I
maybe.
agree.
But I don't think the government necessarily believes that yet. They will in time when it's like 10 years too late. I just think that they see that there's a ton of money in there and they're not getting their share of it, or what they think their share of it is,
I agree,
to
and
the
I think
same
that's
extent
exactly
as
what it
fiat.
boils down to.
And so they're trying to just make it more like figure out how they're going to deal with it. And it's like, all right, it's so big, now we got to figure something out. And that's really as
Yep.
simple as it is. And they're probably
Now,
not going to do.
I still think
Yes.
that they have the ability to stifle the innovation in the space,
Yes.
depending on what these regulations or regulatory framework looks like. And
Yes.
that's the only part that worries me. But the rest, I'm not surprised in the least bit whatsoever. I do think that, you know, like in my mind, the simplest way to tax it is, income as income. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you tax it at the time that you spend it as
Mm-hmm.
income. You know,
Yeah.
either that or some type of variable use tax that when you spend it, those are taxes that you pay, like a sales tax.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes sense to me, but I'm not an IRS agent or a tax accountant or any government official in any capacity. So, I don't really get a say in that. But like I said, I think we got enough uh, advocates in high places that it shouldn't really be an issue. I'm with you. I don't really think it's a whole lot of doom and gloom at
Mm-hmm.
this point, at least not this part of it. So, yeah, I just don't want to see innovation stifled, especially with other countries, um, other countries getting on board. Uh, like I've always equated this to like Facebook, Twitter, eBay, all these big companies that exist in the internet space. Well, most of them were founded here in America. And the reason is we did not stifle that innovation, right? Those companies would
Mm-hmm.
still exist. They just may exist in Switzerland or China or somewhere else if if their regulations and infrastructure were as favorable as ours was or has
Yeah.
been.
Or, not, I guess, not existent, right? In this case, or
Right.
partially existent. So as far as like concrete things that I think will come of this, I I think that there's a lot of people in the legislature who are heavily invested in crypto. Not necessarily as a percentage, but there's plenty of people who are invested in crypto who are well connected enough and will basically make sure that I don't think they really care too much about like freedom and stuff like that. Otherwise they wouldn't get to
Right.
be senators and stuff. But they do care about their bags, and I do think that they want to make sure whatever happens doesn't stifle the flow of money in through the U.S. And so in that, I don't think there's gonna be a big crackdown. Now, that being said, I do think that it will be much harder to basically avoid paying as much as they can get from you in the future. And I
Mhm.
also believe that this CARES Act thing is nefarious. I don't think that there's like I I think that if that has a real strong possibility of getting through, and if it does get implemented, it probably will be used very rarely, right? But
Right.
it still will be there to be used, and it won't be until someone like raises a whole bunch of money for Ross Ulbricht that they'll just like block that. Just they'll have like OpenSea block the Ether withdrawals or whatever to whatever, just say, oh, it's a national security criminal drug, blah blah blah, and it'll be something. The fact that it's there is more scary than what they'll actually do with it in the short term. It's kind of
Right.
like the whole like Patriot Act, NSA stuff that like nothing really bad happened from it that we could tell in the short term, but then, you know, now I'm gonna go back to like the more radical take, right? On the macro, this is people in government realizing that there's something that they don't yet control and trying to control it and stifle it. And the fact that they're this late to the party means that they won't succeed, but they will short term screw over a lot of people's lives, a lot of individuals, in my view. And I also view this as first off, the last grasp of a dying empire trying to control something that it'll never control. At the same time, as it is the there's this real feeling with this last administration. If you look around the world at what's happening, the first world power structures in general, my opinion and observation, seem to be on their way down from their apex of power. They have more control over their population than they ever have before, but that's shaky and it's going to collapse. You see that with like the we cannot mention word stuff going on around the world. But this is just there's this very real feeling to me in this last U.S. administration, particularly, that a lot of the people in administration don't see this power as lasting, and they're trying to just like grab what they can and steal on the way out. And I feel like there's this like, well, let's like make our banker friends or whatever rich right now so we can pump our stocks and then later sell or whatever. It has this real feeling of let's just try to squeeze all the money we can out of everything before we lose the ability to squeeze money. And that's just my feeling on that.
I think it just depends on where you sit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like there's so many prevailing narratives, theories, whatever, but like you could easily say that's the complete opposite is true, and that there's
Mm-hmm.
no way that anybody in office is smart enough to even realize where we're at or whatever. Or you could say that everybody's in office is all working together to plan this or whatever. Like there's way too many things, but the truth is I hate to say it like this, but just it is what it is. And so
Mm-hmm.
um, nobody really knows as far as like the intentions behind it. But so the best we can do is take it at face value and be cautiously optimistic that that they don't intend to stifle innovation. And like I said, I think at this point, crypto is an unstoppable force for the most part. And there are large parts of it that are still very centralized and whatnot, but the underlying protocol infrastructure is not going anywhere. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. Like I said, I really my biggest worry is that the innovation will be stifled out of fear, because a lot of times new things are scary and they worry about
Hmm.
what criminals can do with it. And the fact is that criminals use everything that's new, before anybody else. And if it's not criminals, it's semi morally questionable businesses like the porn industry, or you know um I don't want to say that's morally questionable, but it is to many people. So that's why I say semi morally questionable
Yeah.
industries um typically jump on new technology first. And so
Hmm.
that's just a reality of it. And I think that we have a lot of senators in place and that are in our Senate and House of Representatives and stuff that do realize that. So,
Yeah.
and if it's not that, it's the bags, right? Everybody's
Yeah,
got to
of
pump their
course.
bags.
Yeah, so in the long term it'll be okay. It's just that the ability for people to live financially free is kind of like getting a little like stifled, or it has a threat of being stifled. And just like this other headline, which is kind of ancillary to this, a few different countries, notably UK, Singapore, and Spain, were tightening requirements around crypto firms' marketing messaging and customer recruitment practices, which I think it's a bad thing, but it's just a natural consequence of this stuff going more mainstream, where now you have them like there's a lot of people in crypto that are highly irresponsible in how they market their products. Oh, make it big
Mm-hmm.
and it's funny because the more responsible, like the most stable historically, crypto has been Bitcoin as far as most, like it's been there forever. Like it's gone
Aside from
down.
stable coins, right?
Well, but those aren't even always that stable depending on
Right.
whatever's going. But I'm just saying it's like the most like old and boring one being Bitcoin. However, in recent years, the Bitcoin maximalist community has become one of the more irresponsible ones with their messaging and stuff. Like just
Yeah.
buy Bitcoin. Like okay, like you don't want to
It
qualify
has
not
become
investment
kind of
advice.
cultish, right? It seems kind of cultish.
Yeah, and just like to the moon this and then just all these predictions of price and just like this aggression that can get a lot of people wrecked, especially since Bitcoin didn't pass even 70,000 this year when everyone was saying 150 easy. So, uh, basically, I do think that slowing some of these scammy things is a good thing. I don't think the government doing that is the way to go. But at the same time, I'm not super concerned because there's already restrictions on like what banks can advertise and things like that, other financial institutions. And so it's just sort of like catching crypto up with that. So no, I don't think it's a good thing, but I'm not super alarmed by it either.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, the thing is, and I don't want to blow off too much steam on this one because next week I have a interview with Paul Pui of Edge to talk about this. But there's this new protocol in wallets, in some crypto wallets, that basically helps you KYC your own self custody wallet. And basically, here's how it works: when you withdraw from an exchange, you put in your address. Here's your address you want to withdraw to. Clearly, by doing so, that ties your real world identity to that address. But then sometimes the exchanges are now saying we need proof, and this is like in Switzerland and the Netherlands, I think mostly, but it's become threatened in a lot of other jurisdictions. That well, that's not good enough to just say I want to withdraw from the address and just assume that that's yours. You got to somehow prove that you own it by like signing a message from that wallet saying I certify that this is me. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. I
So
just heard that like Trezor and KeepKey are removing AOPP from
are they
their
now?
yeah, they added it in, to support the people in those jurisdictions, but they removed it because a large portion of their user base believes that it was seen as like supporting regulations or something like that. So
Yeah, and it's hilarious how quick that pushback came, and I think that that's a great sign. Not that Now let me explain what the AOPP does from my understanding, and of course you can correct me as you're smarter than me if I'm wrong. With Rather than just saying in some jurisdictions, oh, we that's not good enough, we need a signature, opening up Electrum and signing a message that says this is mine. All right, and then they
right.
would do that. This would just allow you to do like a one-click button, like an automated, an API, to just
Hmm.
sign it for you and KYC that thing. And there's two schools of thought on this, and I am the second. The first, as of now, from my understanding, I'll have to chat with Paul because he's also smarter than me. But the first school of thought is they're requiring this anyway. This is just something that'll make it easier for you to self custody because it's just like a one click, KYC solution. And it's better to make it easier to self custody because that will mean fewer people leave coins on exchanges. There's a lot of truth to that. I'm in the second camp, though, which is it is unreasonable to expect crypto addresses that are self-hosted, right? That crypto wallets, right? Non-custodial. I won't say self-hosted because it sounds dumb. Non-custodial crypto wallets. There's no expectation that you should have to KYC to use them. That's against the entire point of them. And once you've already KYC'd at the exchange level, that should be enough. And when you say, I'm going to send that, keep the KYC in the KYC app. Don't certify that your own private wallet is yours. And when you do these acquiescences to that, it should be the burden on the exchange, right? Not on the actual wallet. Once you bring KYC into the actual wallet infrastructure, then they could do things like now it's illegal to it's a crime to send a crypto transaction, even though the blockchain allows it, to a wallet that does not have AOPP, that does not have
Right.
their addresses and
Yeah, I
private
see
keys
that being an
certified.
issue, and again, my
Mm-hmm.
biggest fear with the issue is the innovation part of it, right? So once you put that that issue onto wallet developers and and app developers in the space, they can know like it's too much overhead for them to actually build anything, and innovation goes out the window. And then you leave it to large companies that have the funding in order to put that infrastructure in place, unfortunately. So like hackathons where we've seen some of the best projects and innovative ideas in crypto come from wouldn't be able to build what they build because
Mm-hmm.
of the legal ramifications of not implementing this KYC infrastructure. And so I don't see that as being a good thing.
Yeah, definitely not. And the thing about um, if people I understand when you're interacting with a legacy financial system, they do KYC. That's just what it is. That's why we hate and use crypto. And that's a very reasonable expectation for, oh, you're linking your bank account to your Coinbase, you're doing this. You should have to do whatever. But as far as putting that into the actual wallet infrastructure in any way, shape, or form to make this easier or more commonplace to do, to certify these kinds of withdrawals, uh, that's going to end up making this universal and defeat the entire point of crypto. And obviously that's my pro freedom angle. Of course, the entire reason we're in crypto, but whatever. But beyond that, as far as the innovation angle, there's something really cool about here's my Cointree guest, cointr.ee/the desert links. You go there, click on any one of those buttons, and it brings up a little address. You send a donate. You just say I want to say, hey, testing this out, $5 in Dash or whatever. You can just go scan send, and it pops up on the screen right there. It's awesome. You can just do that, and it's like, well, is it a certified address? What about this address is coming from? Is that certified? Now all of a sudden, no one's gonna send it. No one's gonna play around. I
Yeah,
I'm always I'm Mr. Try everything out, right? Like living on
me
crypto
too.
because I want to know if it works. And so I'm always sending this to this wall. Let me try mixing it there and see what happens there. What does it look like there? Let me swap it for this. I'm going to try swapping to this and that. And does this app work? I have I have more recovery phrases than you could imagine, just from all the random little wallets that I'm just trying out and sending money.
I
And
have the same thing. You
it's a
like people ask me
yeah.
all like I'm mainly in Dash, right? But I have played with
Uh-huh.
every other coin. And I do have other coins as well, but I have played with every coin, even coins that people are like, dude, that coin's dog shit. Don't even mess with it. I'll go play with it just because like, I read into its fundamentals first. And if it seems like super centralized, I still keep that
Mhm.
in my mind, but I still play with it. And oftentimes we do see a lot of situations where those chains have a better user experience, but they don't necessarily bring forth the values and ideals that I'm looking for. But um,
Mhm.
it's still fun to play with everything
Yeah.
and just see what's out there and what's possible.
And that's the innovation. Like anyone can copy and paste a coin. Like just
Yeah,
an open source blockchain. Just copy and paste it, make your own tokens, send some to friends, be like, oh look, this is what happens if it has like 1.5 second blocks. Like what? Like, oh man, look at all the orphans going through. This doesn't work at all. Like you just play. You can innovate, or you can even make a joke like Dogecoin that just becomes a several billion-dollar asset now with like, I mean, I'm not defending the valuations, but I'm just saying this is the beauty of crypto. And then people can just make random NFTs of random JPEGs or like sell hundreds and hundreds like Ken Bozak does. And
right.
just not even like the selling, it's just like the creating of it. And how do you do it? Well, you got to get the native token, like in his case, Wax. You got to get some of that. And then you got to spend some fees to like create the thing. And if that is all treated like money according to, the limitations of the previous financial world, people just won't do it. You're just going to lose all this innovation. So I feel very strongly about not specifically the AOPP, but about stopping that kind of thing in its tracks right now. Keep crypto free. If people want to file their taxes and not go to prison, which is probably a good idea, if they want to not break laws, if they want to do whatever, that's on them to figure it out. It's not on the technology itself
Yeah.
to become compliant with the system. Otherwise, the technology itself has no purpose. All right, done with my soapbox.
Yeah, no, I mean, I absolutely agree. I think that responsibility should be on the individual, and I don't advocate for breaking laws necessarily, but it is something that the developer shouldn't necessarily be responsible for. Of course, taking reasonable actions to make those things difficult, but at the same time, everybody's an adult, and those things that they're doing are already against the law, and if they get caught, they should be, or could be prosecuted. But
Mm-hmm.
that responsibility should lie on the individual and not the developer, because when you put that onus on the developer, it does definitely make things a lot more difficult to develop and things like that.
Yeah, now let's hit to um, this thing where I'll just jump into the Chinese food delivery giant joins CBDC efforts for the
Yes.
ECNY. Chinese food delivery giant Meituan has become the latest tech firm to integrate central bank digital currency payments for its services. They can use digital yuan, all that kind of stuff. Very cool. Really quick on the digital on like CBDCs. Um,
Yeah, I think
that
China's had this going since like 2019 or something like that. And again,
mhm.
it doesn't surprise me. This is I guess comes back to the innovation thing, and that's what worries me about the U.S. If the wrong regulatory framework comes out and the innovation is stifled here, those large companies and those potential tax revenue bringers and things like that will exist, but they just may
Mhm.
exist somewhere else. And China seems to be ahead of the game there, and we are pretty competitive with China. So I hope that we don't get left behind there.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And about the CBDCs in general, a lot of this, like putting the brakes on crypto, is so that the government could get in on it and start issuing CBDCs, which
Yeah, it seems
in
that way.
then this whole AOPP style verifying your wallet addresses and stuff is something that then they'll will be it's literally every CBDC transaction is like that. They just trace the whole thing. It's basically trying to make it, I guess, either they're trying to make it so that um, every cryptocurrency has to be used in a CBDC style way where everything's tracked. Otherwise, it's illegal to use. You just use it on your own kind of thing. Or they're trying to make it enough of a hassle to legally to use cryptos in a compliant way, so that people just use CBDCs instead because it's like auto compliant kind of thing. So that's one of those reasons why both elements of that need to be sort of resisted. They are inevitable, right? Big
Yeah.
chunks of the U.S. population will probably be using a CBDC within 5 years. I just hope that even bigger chunks are using stuff that can't be controlled in a way that can't be controlled like before then.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and I've said this before, even on this show, that I think that CBDCs will be a decent on ramp for other ecosystems within the space, and I think
Mm-hmm.
CBDCs will overall add a lot of convenience to our life. It may slow down the need or the perceived need for other decentralized cryptocurrencies, because people may see a lot of the benefits that they have, that decentralized cryptocurrencies have, without actually using decentralized cryptocurrencies. Hi, Avery.
Mm.
But okay, back up, please. Sorry. But yeah, so it could end up hurting, but I do think it'll actually be a decent on ramp, on off ramp. So I'm actually not overall too worried about how it plays out.
Yeah, it could be. Let me hit on, because we're running towards the end. We got a little 13 or so minutes left, but this one on the Qubit finance hack, because we're talking about the worlds of centralized controlled stuff, but then Qubit finance suffers an 80 million loss following hack. The address is linked to the hack. We managed to steal 206,809 Binance coin from Qubit's Q-Bridge protocol. So, without even looking in too much more of that, latest DeFi hack. Do you remember those exchanges that were getting hacked in the past?
Yeah,
Like
now it's
centralized
DeFi
exchanges?
protocols.
Yeah, from the CEX to the DEX and it's like now that they've kind of figured out how to like run centralized infrastructure, it's decentralized infrastructure that's going to be kind of a thing. And so 80 million is kind of a lot of money to lose, to be honest. Like Thorchain experienced a few hacks, but as far as I know, none of them were anywhere near that big. And it was also in the, chaos net kind of, phase. And that's the thing about these
Early
kinds of,
move fast break things days.
that's the thing about these DeFi hacks and stuff too, is I'm not really like, there's a lot of like buyer beware in it, where if you want to participate in this decentralized finance system, you, I guess, assume it's a risky proposition, which I mean, I'm not sure if Thorchain did this adequately, but they did it at least, which to let people know this is experimental software and you could lose money. And after they intentionally limited the amount of liquidity that could go into the system while they're working stuff up. They capped it. And when stuff got stolen, they, as far as I know, reimbursed all liquidity providers from the Treasury. That they kind of
Right.
were ready for that whole thing. And also it just like, buyer beware kind of stuff. Now
Yeah.
in this Qubit thing, I'm not exactly sure if it's the same situation. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not. But it's, I think that if you lose in an exploit like that, some of that is like growing pains of the industry, and you
Mm-hmm.
should kind of assume that you have some risk when using that. On the other hand, if the risk was misrepresented by the team behind it, they should probably be legally liable at that point. You should be able to just like sue
Yeah,
them
that
for
makes that
doing that
makes
kind of
sense
thing.
to me. Definitely. Yeah, if you're telling everybody that it's perfectly safe, this and that. I mean, and that happens, but you probably should be responsible if you're overselling, under delivering, something like that. But definitely, it's like the early days, the slogan or whatever for Bitcoin: "Be your own bank." Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a great idea. The problem is banks banks do a lot as far as in the background securing passwords and doing that type of stuff, and they don't always do it well. But when you are your own bank, you have to take that responsibility, and not everybody wants that responsibility, can handle that responsibility, or is ready for that responsibility at all. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the interesting thing about it is and that's why I don't think that centralized services are necessarily a bad thing, because there will always be a market for people that say, hey, manage my stuff for me. And I do see banks fulfilling that role someday. But I also believe that there are other people that want to be responsible for their own things. And having that option available, I think, is hugely important.
Yeah, that's one thing I also believe. Uh, Joint custody, like multi-sig and stuff like that, is
Yeah,
I believe.
sharded keys, shared keys, stuff like that.
Yeah, I believe that's I won't say creatively, but a very underutilized aspect of crypto today, where
Hmm.
it's just kind of all or nothing. It's literally like the pocket, like the cash in your pocket. You just got like, if it falls out or someone takes it, whoops, it's just gone. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's not like
There's a couple
trusted.
neat wallets out there, and like I said, this is because we have the ability to innovate right now. But a lot of these were born out of hackathons and stuff like that. But there are a couple neat wallets out there that have some interesting solutions to this. Like Argent is a good example. They're an Ethereum wallet. They have split keys and what they call social recovery. So you can
Hmm.
designate a certain number of parties to act on your behalf. So if you lose your part of the key, you can activate a recover wallet function, basically, that if you get enough pieces of the key together, it can reactivate it for you, and then when it does, funds are frozen for a certain amount of time, and whatever. You can also set it to where, like, you have a max spending limit for 24 hours that can be removed with a special password, or like there's all kinds of different things that we've seen built in a decentralized way, even to to some cryptocurrency wallets, and comes back to being able to innovate too.
Yeah, it's it's gonna be interesting to see how that whole space develops, because I believe that in the past, what's largely happened has been, people like businesses have just cropped up and said, we'll handle the stuff and we'll get insurance and and the governments have regulated those things, and that's kind of the way things have shaken out. And I think that will also shake out that way in crypto, much to my chagrin, if you let them. But the longer you kind of push regulation away and let innovation happen, then you'll see like the systems, the market kind of regulating itself in a way where it's
I
like, well,
agree.
why do we need to care about, like, oh, we need to regulate and verify addresses because we don't know if it's going to a criminal or not. It's like, well, but then they'll have built-in social recovery and not protocol, not like top level transaction reversal, but for example, like social recovery transaction reversal
Right.
things. And then,
It's a lot like how the internet works. I mean, it was largely unregulated for so long, and
mm-hmm,
still is largely unregulated for the most part. I mean, there are things that are a crime, um,
mm-hmm,
that people use the internet for and then get caught for and prosecuted for that crime, but it's not a internet specific regulation typically.
mm-hmm,
And the internet and companies on the internet typically ended up in the market regulating itself in a way. There are some things that are illegal, of course, possession of child pornography. There's you can't have, like, buy and sell drugs online, but the thing, you can't buy and sell drugs anyway. So really,
mm-hmm.
there's not an internet specific regulation, at least that I'm aware of, that says you can't buy and sell drugs online. It's just that you can't do it anyway, and so if you get caught doing it online, it's the same crime.
Yeah. We did get a super chat one time. Hi, one time. Hey, Joel and Spencer. I think the next few months are really going to be interesting for crypto, especially Dash. I believe that too.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on, as we mentioned, um, but in Dash in particular, obviously there's this digital, what do they call it, like the Dash Direct is coming out with the virtual Mastercard thing, which basically
Hmm.
lets you, with certain restrictions, but spend Dash anywhere in the US to start out with, without giving up your identity and your privacy, or without giving up custody of your funds up until literally the last second. So if you have like a 12.98 like sandwich you're buying, you spend the Dash, and it's like credit. It's fiat for like 2 seconds, and then you tap and pay, and then you spend it. And obviously there can be more stuff coming around there, but also hopefully Dash is getting added to Thorchain in the next
That's gonna be really cool.
few weeks, few months, and obviously that brings DeFi to Dash and lets it be trustlessly swapped between all kinds of different coins, which is a huge bonus and stuff. It's great. So those two things are going to be pretty huge, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that enough on the next podcast, which is the explicitly Dash podcast. But it's good to bring that up. All right, let's touch on. Let me just hit on the NFT stuff. So NFTs are cool. They're all the rage. You may have heard of it, or whatever, like cheesy nonsense. As I mentioned on Twitter, which got very little reaction to it. I guess people didn't really see it. I bought my first NFT this week. Yay! I bought it from the one and only Ken Bozak, who is a little bit of a ridiculous individual, but way smarter and more on top of things, and more like all of that, more respectable than you could really imagine. And so he's a big pioneer in the NFT space in particular. And so as a way of like giving thanks for like helping me wrap my head around the concept and pointing me some good directions, I bought one of his NFTs. It's a little like Hulk Hogan, muscly dude of Ken. So that's kind of funny. Yeah. But as such, I'm going to implement a system where I'm going to start minting some NFTs. And anyone who appears on this show, right? Anyone who appears on the podcast is going to get a little commemorative NFT. Just says, hey, thanks for being on the show and stuff. Here you go. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to hook that up with a Telegram channel that basically, if you have the NFT, you get into the channel. And so basically the super chat thing that's a little bit clunky right now, you'll be able to just have an NFT and get into the little Telegram super chat thing, which is great. Also, I believe if someone's on the podcast at least 10 times, I'm going to give them a unique NFT of themselves. And guess what? It's Spencer's 10th time. So congratulations on what you've earned. I do not have them ready, unfortunately, right now, which is why I kind of wished I could have had you on next week or something instead. But you'll still get them. I'll do them live on the show. Hopefully I'll have you back on to present them or whatever. But that's going to be a thing going forward. It's going to be a lot of fun. And
I'm excited.
It's good stuff. So, any last questions or comments real quick before we wrap this up? And if you're in the don't send a super chat because it won't get here in time. Or you send one, but then I'll read it later. If let's see.
I'm not see
he says Master, so he's one time was asking, says Mastercard won't have discounts, but there will be 155,000 Dash Direct merchants that still have discounts. So basically what that's going to be is, so with the Dash Direct app, if you spend it at just independent coffee shop, whatever, you can just spend your Dash like fine, no fee or anything other than like the micro Dash transaction fee. But if you spend it at some of these more big box kind of larger retailers, you can get like an average of 5% or more discount because it's done through like the gift card kind of thing. So yeah,
I think it's the same one way or the other. Like a lot of people were saying they want cash back over a discount. It's literally the exact same thing, but I wonder if one day it'll be presented as cash back rather than discount.
Yeah. Well, let's just wrap this thing up then. Thanks a ton for being on, Spencer. I'm gonna send you your digital goods as soon as I manage to get them all whipped up.
Yay.
And what do you have anything to shill? Anywhere to go or anything like that?
No.
All right. Well, then
I don't.
I extend that courtesy anyway. That's what you get when you get on the show, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
always a good time.
You get the ability to shill your stuff, and you get your NFTs soon. And when it was Scott Cunningham's birthday last time, I just made the super chat go to his coin tree instead, so he got all the super chats. But other than that, yeah, that's kind of what you get. All right, like, comment, share, subscribe. We're gonna have another cool show next weekend, of course. But right after this is the Dash podcast. So if you want to watch that, obviously, if you're just on the YouTube channel, this video will go away and a new one will pop in. In Odysee, the live stream is scheduled long before this one, so it's like there too. So you will have to jump off this window to get to another one to see that. But yeah, back-to-back podcasts as per usual. Happy Friday, everyone. Happy weekend. Have a good one. Stay safe out there. Make sure your paperwork's in order for crypto. Taxation is theft. Voting is violence. Not really. Whatever. All the good buzzwords. And yeah, I'll see you guys later.